Hello, today we're going to be learning how to make the Bailey's extra small pattern for the Twinkle Star Project baskets. So you'll see it has a little rolled edge and a little insert as well. So the pattern for the Bailey's extra small, we don't have to be quite as careful with our yarn choice or exact dimensions because this is more of a memorial gift than it is for actual baby. So the pattern says that our finished product should be about 4 inches by about 3 inches. So that is what our finished product is going to look like. And now we're going to jump into the tutorial. So we're going to start with a slip knot, and to do a slip knot, I just take and fold a loop over like this. So I've got my tail coming underneath and my working yarn coming over top. And then I take my working yarn and pull it up through that loop. And there is our slip knot. So to begin our pattern, this pattern calls for a 5mm hook, and I'm just using a regular DK weight yarn. And we're going to start by chaining 12. So in order to chain, you just yarn over your hook and pull through, and that's 1, yarn over 2, and 12. So now we have our base chain of 12 stitches, 12 chains. So now we're going to half double crochet into the second chain. Now I go into this bottom little nub when I'm starting a project for my foundation row instead of on these two. That leaves this as your outside, as your bottom of your project, and it leaves a nice clean finished edge. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go not into the first one but the second one. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and that leaves me with 1, 2, 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is your half double crochet. And we're going to do that all the way across. So yarn over and insert, yarn over, pull through. Okay, and there is our foundation row. So because we skipped that first one and did our first double crochet into the second chain from the hook, we should have 11 stitches. So let's just double check. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, just this little funky one on the end. So now we're going to turn and chain 1. And the pattern tells us to skip the first stitch and half double crochet into the next one. So this little stitch here was skipped, and we're going to go into the second one. And then we're going to go all the way to the end. Coming to the last half double crochet of this row, so we need to make sure that we get in the end here. and that will give us 11 stitches in our second row. Now we're going to turn and do the same thing, and we're going to go for 4 more rows. So again, we're going to skip this first little hole, and we're going to go into the second. And we're just half double crocheting all the way along. And our last one goes right in here. Okay, now we're going to start working around the edge to build up the sides of the basket. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet right into the end of these stitches, so the end of these rows. So this one here, it has the nice little 2 loops like we're used to going through, so that one's nice and easy. But you will find that your alternating rows aren't quite the same. Actually, in this one it's not too bad. Okay, and then we're going to move across the top of this row. So I'm going to go in here. Oh, sorry, I've moved out of center screen. I apologize. All right, so we've now half double crocheted into the end of all 6 of these rows. And now we're going to turn the corner, and we're just going to half double crochet into our foundation chain and all the way across. Then I'm going to show you another little trick that I use for covering up my ends so I don't have to weave them in later. Because I think as knitters and crocheters, that's probably least favorite part of a project. It's getting rid of all those ends. So if we can deal with them as we go, it's one less thing to do when we feel like we're finished. All right, so we've half double crocheted all along this end and this side. Now we're going to turn, and we're going to half double crochet into the end of these stitches. So to keep my tail, to deal with my tail, I'm going to go under it. I'm basically going to lay it right across the top of my stitches. So I'm going to go underneath it into my stitch, and then I'm going to pick up and see it's kind of tucked in between my working yarn and my hook, and then these stitches just work right over top of it. So again, we're just gonna lay it across the top and basically just work around it. Okay, now we've come to the end of our rows here, and because I don't need it to be any longer than that, I can actually just snip this off here. And then that has been worked in, and I don't need to worry about it anymore. Now I'm just going to work in the top of this row, finish coming around to where I started, and then we can join it. here's our last stitch. So now we're going to join into our first stitch, and to do that we just take our hook straight into our stitch, then we're gonna yarn over and we're gonna pull it through, and then we're gonna pull it right through again, and that's called a slip stitch, and that's how we join our rounds. All right, so now we're going to chain 1, and we are going to work all the way around again, and this is going to build up our sides of our basket. Alright, this kind of got a little funky on me, but this is going to be the beginning of my second row. I'm not sure really what happened, that it was hard to find the end. So we're going to go again on round 3. Again, we're just building up the sides of the basket here now, and you can see that it's formed its little bowl, and now we're just working to make it taller so that we can then roll over the sides. Now we've reached the end of this row, and again we're just going to go into the top of our first stitch. I'm going to pull this through and pull it through right away again, and that is our slip stitch to join. And we're going to chain 1, go around again. Last stitch of this row. Again, we're going to go into the top of this first stitch, pull through and pull through again, and join. Now this one is ending up a little bit smaller because my tension got a little tight. So I would say we should probably add at least 2 more rows to give it a little bit more depth. All right, here we go, coming to the end again, our last stitch. into the top of that first one, grab it up, pull it through, and pull it through. Because this one turned out tiny because my tension got tight because I'm nervous because I've never done this before, which is fine. I think I'm going to end it here. So to end off, we've already done our slip stitch. Now we just take and pull this through and tighten it up with a little knot there, and then we can snip our yarn. And to hide this little tail, we just work it into that top row. So I go in underneath and I just pull it through, and I go under this one and I pull it through. You just pull it and that hides the little end. We can roll this down, and there is our little basket. And now we will move on to our base or insert. So again, we're going to do our slip knot. So we're gonna make that little cross and go over, or rather go under and pick it up through. Okay. And we can stick that on our hook, snug it up. And to do our base, we're going to chain 12 again. So 1, and 12. And again, we're going to half double crochet into the second stitch. So not this one, but this one. Go into that little nubby. And this is where it will matter, because this one has an open edge. This one didn't matter if I did that special start because we were working around all the edges, and so it doesn't have a finished edge. But this one's going to have, this will be our raw unfinished edge at the bottom. And so this way it'll be nice and uniform. All right, and we're just gonna go all the way across. Okay, so now we've reached the end of our foundation row. We're going to chain 1, turn, we're going to skip this first one, go into the next one, and half double crochet all the way across again. There's row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn, into the second stitch again, half double crochet all the way across. And coming to the end of our base, it's just going to be a rectangle. So we'll go into this last stitch here, finish our last half double crochet, then to end off, again, we're just going to yarn over and pull through, and then pull it snug down here so it makes a little knot, and then we can trim this loop right here, and there is our little insert, and we can weave in our ends, and we're finished. Thank you for joining me today for Bailey's pattern, the extra small Twinkle Star Project basket, and I hope that you enjoy making these, and thank you for your interest and your time and the blessing that you are to many families during these hard times.